Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There could be strong language and adult themes. So, we're here with Black Sofa today, and today is National Fossil Day.
Hi.
And yeah, always have to wait until YouTube picks it up before I can kill the echo.
Yeah.
So how's things been going for you?
Yeah, things are okay actually. I've settled into my new place, and just been relaxing this evening. How about yourself?
Rather the same thing. It's been about 7 months for me here.
Okay.
So getting settled into Minnesota as best as I can with the COVID. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that I came here for I can't do. But one of the things that I'm rather missing related to the Fossil Day is that the Science Museum of Minnesota was one of the big draws for me. I had been a charter member when I'd lived here before.
Okay.
And yeah, while the museum's open and technically I could go, I'm kind of avoiding any such unnecessary things. Not so worried about myself, but interacting with other people who, might be on the level of compromised immunities and that. So I don't feel comfortable putting other people at risk.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hello, Microraptor. It's another fossil reference.
Yeah.
It does seem to be a rather popular thing in this community.
Yeah, it seems to be, yeah. I've shared this out on Twitter, so hopefully you should get a few more viewers.
Yeah, I posted it to Twitter too, although, yeah, for me, it's not that uncommon for people to wander in 10 minutes after I start, so.
Okay.
Keep it going for a little while. We'll probably have some more people joining in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when I'd lived here about 10 years ago, well, actually 12 years ago, it was 2008 that I had left Minnesota. But I had a charter membership to the Science Museum, and I spent so much time there, particularly in the paleontology lab, that a lot of people actually thought I worked there. And when people had questions about the exhibits, the volunteers were directing them to me because I knew more about them than what their training gave them.
Yeah, that figures.
But that's also where I raised a batch of kids.
Oh, right.
Taking them to the museums and libraries was the main things.
Yeah.
Especially in the Minnesota winters, that outdoor activities aren't really an option.
Yeah.
Hi, Doc. Have you played Saurian? No, I'm not aware of a game by that name.
No, neither am I.
Microraptor, you want to come in and tell us about it? I could send you a link on Twitter if you're not in any of the groups I posted links to. Oh. So what kind of stuff did you do with your kids when you were...
Me?
Yeah.
What kind of things did I do with my kids? Well, we we go for walks. We play video games together. Sometimes we watch TV together. Play board games. All sorts, really. My eldest, she's 12. She actually loves talking politics with me. Hello? Microraptor says, I'm in the That's News to Me group on Twitter. Whatever that means. Probably means something to you, Purple. Mute? If we seem to have lost you, Purple. Have you muted your mic?
Oh, yep. Sorry.
Ah, he's back.
Yep. Yeah, I was just trying to get the link and find the group.
Ah.
Yeah, that's news to me. Is Jen from Australia.
Okay.
That's news to me. Is the news program she does, which is kind of in the format of a game show type thing.
Oh, okay. I see.
I sent a link there, Microraptor, so if you want to pick that up. Yeah, basically she reads part of a news headline and sees who can guess what it is referring to.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
So that winds up, I suppose that would be early Saturday afternoon your time. It's Saturday evening my time that she usually runs it.
Okay.
So I think it'd probably be around 2 o'clock London time.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Of course, I'm going to get all screwed up again with the time zones. Because November 1st, we set our clocks back, so that's going to mess me up with everybody I've got figured out now.
We set our clocks back at the end of October.
Yeah. Well, it's actually Halloween night, October 31st, going into November 1st.
Yeah. Yeah, same here, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like figuring out which time zones did they set their clocks back and which ones did they not. Hey, Microraptor, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah.
Yeah, so what's the Saurian game you mentioned?
It's they try to recreate the Hell Creek formation as it looked during the end of the Cretaceous era, when there were T-Rex and Triceratops and stuff like that, and you play as when it's finished, you will be able to play as a Dakotaraptor, Triceratops, T-Rex, or Pachycephalosaurus. And I think there was one more, I'm not sure. And at the moment, you can play as a Dakota Raptor or a Triceratops. And like they try to make it as realistic as possible while still making it fun.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Where do I go to find a copy of that to try it out?
It's on Steam if you have that.
Okay. Do you have a link for that?
Yeah. Do you have Steam? So I can.
Yeah, I have Steam. I've only used it like 2 or 3 times.
Okay. I'll send the link to the website too. Yeah, I've sent 2 links in the internal chat in the StreamYard.
Okay.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, I realized that you weren't modded for the YouTube chat, so I just fixed that.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It's of course very fun if you're very interested in dinosaurs and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yep.
And for a very long time, you could only play as a Dakota Raptor because that's the only one they had finished. And the Triceratops they released very recently, so that's very new that you can play as that.
Well, yeah, definitely one I'll have to try out.
Yeah.
I don't seem to be modded for the chat either.
Oh, okay. Well, just yep. Okay, there you are.
Okay.
There you go.
Let's, yes, brilliant. Thank you.
Yep. So what's going on with you, Doc? You still with us? He gets in here occasionally, but he's also... Oh, there he is. Hey, Doc.
Ah.
Hello, hello.
Hey, hello.
Hello, Doc.
What it be happening, kids?
Nothing. You can leave. No, I'm kidding.
Hello to Harmonica Man.
Oh, hey, Harmonica Man.
Hello, Harmonica Man.
Bad. Okay.
If I may be so bold, it is a pleasure to meet you, Microraptor and Black Sofa.
Pleasure to meet you too.
Yeah. And it's good for me to meet Microraptor as well. We haven't met either.
No, we haven't.
Well, this is the first time Microraptor's been live in here, usually only in the side chat.
Yeah.
Ah.
We're sure glad to have you.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here too.
Just trying to, there we go, find the folder with everybody's links. I don't know whether or not Microraptor's listed in that one.
Yeah.
Might have to add you.
I'm pretty infrequent with uploading stuff. Like I'm not a content creator in that sense. Like I don't upload stuff frequently.
No, but there's a lot of people who don't, but you know.
Yeah.
I'm not a content creator either.
Yep. Yeah, just if you're in here though, I like to you know, at least like put your Twitter link in the description. So if somebody's watching this later and has a question about something you talked about, Yeah, you're in here, Microraptor. So I got this list from Amiga Nuts, so he's already taking care of that.
Yeah, Amiga Nut is always the one who is. That's his job, it seems.
Yep. So yeah, has your YouTube link in here, does not have your Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
Yeah,
of course you are. Okay. I'll have to add your Twitter link to this. So what you've been doing, Doc?
Oh, not much. Working and lamenting a corporeal existence. Typical day.
Well, you're home now, going into your sleep cycle, aren't you?
Well, at 3 o'clock is my official bedtime that I disobey on a regular basis, but so I've got some time. I got a few hours.
Okay. So nothing exciting going on for anybody today, huh?
No, not for me.
Just kind of a slow day.
Yeah.
I can't really say much about it, but the only thing exciting happening for me is I have to testify in a deposition tomorrow.
Oh.
Okay.
Something that happened at the hotel I work at. Just somebody had committed a crime. I'm not 100% sure what it's all about, but I think it was this one time a cop came in overnight and was looking for who I presume is this person. They eventually found because they're now like in legal proceedings, but it shouldn't be a big deal. It'll be just try to recount the conversation I had with the officer, which I can't remember most of anyway. So
yeah,
I'm not sure what a deposition is.
God, how do you explain that, Perp? Exactly. It's like it's like when a bunch of lawyers ask you questions regarding a legal case, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's kind of like a pre-trial conference when they're trying to get evidence together for something.
Okay.
Yeah, they should easily figure out that I was not a witness to anything, so.
Okay.
Pretty much anything I know is going to be secondhand or speculation. So. Yeah,
nothing that they would really be able to use in a court hearing.
Maybe I have something anyway. Maybe I have something of value for them.
Yeah. I suppose it's possible. But I really don't know much about it, if it's all what I think it is, and the person named, the crime committed, I don't know a blessed thing about it or the people involved.
Yeah, well, it's probably more to the case of just, that you can verify that, yeah, the officer was there at a particular time on a particular day.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never been like in that kind of situation. I've only seen on TV, like, and it's of course always dramatized so that it will be more exciting. So I can't know what's realistic and what's not. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of stuff is hyped up.
Yeah, that's what they always do.
Yeah, reality's relatively boring.
Yeah, I am guilty, spookums.
Ah, hello, Spooky.
Hey, Spooky. Yeah, Doc's always up to something. He's always plotting things.
Yeah.
I did once have a plot to help the couch potatoes take over the world, but I just never got around to building the device.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was trying to start a group for people with apathy, but I just couldn't get up to it.
Symbol clash.
I do have an not really, but almost serious plot, though. I'm sure I'll never pull it off because the resources would be astronomical. But I think what I should do is plot to get everybody stoned in the planet at the same time. Oh yeah.
Okay.
It would be a villainous plot though, because some people are allergic and there probably would be a few deaths.
It is a way to obtain world peace.
It is.
Hey, Christy.
It is. Hello, Christy Santiago.
We've got a
Hi,
bunch
Christy.
of new people in here today.
Yeah.
Well, I think Christy stopped by once in a while, but not very often. Oh. So a lot of new people, but not much going on.
I don't think Christy has ever heard my voice before.
Oh, I thought she
you're
might have been in the
for
side
a
chat.
treat.
Yep.
We should see if Christy wants to join us.
Yeah.
That would be awesome if she wanted to come in here.
Uh-oh.
What's that?
That's my heater.
Ah,
I've never talked to Christy before, so that would be a new person for me.
it's actually been a long time since I've had any kind of real interactions with Christy. She seems to have been quite busy for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Christy wants me to read Beowulf. That'd be fun.
Of course, I'm not even sure. I don't remember what Christy's Twitter is, so Christy, you'll have to send me something if you want a link to join in. Well, maybe you could do that for a Halloween thing, Doc.
That
Do
could be
yourself a
cool.
video reading Beowulf. Oh, okay. She's at her therapy waiting to be called in, so.
Ah.
Hang out while they punish her. Yeah, I never actually had physical therapy. They offered it to me after I truncated 3 of my fingers with a saw. But that was like 3-4 weeks after the incident. The doctor was talking about physical therapy for my hand, that they might be able to, get me so that I'd be able to use a fork again and such things. And I informed him that with the splint still on, I'd been using it to pound nails earlier that morning. Well, I still had a job to complete, so they gave me this fiberglass splint thing for it. And I went and modified the splint. I inserted 2 tool bit holders in it so that I could hold anything with the 1/4-inch hex bit, and another one that I could actually put in the blade for a reciprocal saw so I could keep working with the splint on.
You just gave it more power.
Probably still have that around somewhere.
I once had metaphysical therapy back in 1987 when I had my soul surgically removed.
Now, what was that process like? See, I know that if I could have my ethics surgically removed, I could make a lot more money. I mean, if I didn't have ethics, I could have started a Woo channel and I could be selling bottles of colored water for $100 each.
Yeah.
Or candles.
Oh, it wasn't.
Or candles.
Well, it wasn't
like your balls.
that. It wasn't that difficult. If you've ever been astrally projecting, you know that there's the silver cord, right? So all you do is astrally project, and then the surgeon motions with his fingers to make pretend scissors to snip the silver cord. Easy as that.
Yeah, actually, when I was a teenager, I had believed I could astral project. I played with a lot of things like that. Mostly during my pagan days, which didn't really start till I was like 22 or 23, but even before that, because, like I say, when I was a teenager, I dabbled in a bunch of things.
And to answer your question, Christy, unfortunately, once the soul is snipped, it kind of just blasts around like a balloon, just kind of. And mine landed in the patient next door's oatmeal, so never saw it again.
Are you saying someone ate your soul for breakfast?
I guess so.
Soul food?
Soul food.
Yeah, it's too bad you couldn't have gotten it in a mason jar. I understand they preserve rather well.
Yeah, they're rather hard to hang on to once they're cut loose.
Yeah.
You wouldn't guess it, but souls are rather elusive.
Well, a lot of mythology, they're like used as currency, so.
That is interesting. I think on other of your streams, Purple, I've mentioned that yes, it did make a loud, echoey, ghostly fart noise, Christy. but I'm sure I've mentioned I've played the role-playing games like Vampire the Masquerade and such. There was spin-off games to that game, like for Werewolf and Mage and such, and eventually they made one for Wraith. It was called Wraith the Oblivion, and most of it takes place in the Deadlands, the spirit world for dead souls. And there were ancient wraiths that had the power to actually forge other wraiths, other souls into various objects. And lots of souls were forged into coins called how do you pronounce it? Oboli. And that was the currency of the realm, is pretty much other wraiths.
Yeah, I was also remembering in the Xanth books that they had what they referred to as the Gourd world, which was this spirit realm that people would leave their bodies behind to enter it. And that souls were like the currency there too. There were a couple of instances in some of those books of people like giving half of their soul to a nightmare to help them escape from bad situations. So that apparently souls could be divided and they would regenerate. So if you traded half your soul away, eventually it would grow back. So it would effectively have grown into two souls.
Groovy. And hey, two souls are better than one.
Which brings up the whole question of, how do you know if you have a soul?
Well, mine was really scratchy. That's why I had it removed. And I, broke out in hives and such. So.
Don't they say that the eyes are the windows to the soul? So maybe somewhere in your eyeballs.
Yeah, my vision was always fuzzy until it was removed.
Okay, well, definitely a new tag for this chat, soul extractions.
I thought we were going to talk about fossils.
Yeah.
Well, we did for a bit, and in here, if we're on topic at all, it's a rather unusual thing. But most of the time, we're off topic by the time we actually go live. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then I came in and brought chaos in my wake.
But I mean, if you got more to say on fossils, it's certainly, we circle around. I just title it after whatever obscure holidays I happen to find on the internet. No real format. It's just people coming in here to hang out.
Cool.
Well, Purple, I recall that you wanted to become a fossil so you could be displayed in a museum in the future.
Yeah. When we had been talking about, funerals and burials, I figured that these days they know enough about how fossils are formed that they should be able to figure out, where to put me so that there's a decent chance of me being preserved. And a couple thousand years from now, I could be a museum exhibit.
And I thought it'd be funny if your exhibit was labeled Willie Nelson.
Which actually, when I was living in Michigan for Halloween one year, a local bar was having a costume party, and I went as Willie Nelson. That sloth girl braided my hair and did a little cardboard guitar, and I actually won the most popular for that. Most of the people in the bar said I should have won it, but of course, the way things went in the small community up there, the contest was won by the judge's cousin.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
Oh,
majority of the people in the bar said I should have won that. Hey, Hans, I sold my soul for 5 cents to a Christian. The money should go to some goodwill thingy many years ago.
There's not quite a fossil, but I've read about this thing, about this person, Jeremy Bentham. They preserved his body. He wanted them to preserve his body and display it in a university. I think it was. I sent the link to the Wikipedia article on him in chat.
Yeah. Well, Microraptor, I approved you for mods, so you could post links directly into the YouTube chat now.
Yeah, I could do it. Yeah.
So that everybody could see them there.
Yeah. All right, on that.
Yep. There we are.
Well, me, I'm old, but I can't say I'm quite a fossil yet, but I have begun to petrify, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I've definitely got the joints getting stiffer. Yeah, especially this time of year when it's cold and damp outside is when it really gets to me.
You know you're getting
Oh,
older when the first thing you say when you wake up and sit up in bed is, "Ooh, me back."
Yeah, when I get up, I sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies. Have to pop all the joints back into place before I can walk again.
Oh, God.
Oh, same here. I'm definitely a cracker.
What's that? I don't quite get what thingy you're referring to, Hans.
It's pretty early on for YouTube.
But if it was on YouTube, it's got to still be there somewhere.
Is he referring to the same thingy that he mentioned, some goodwill thingy many years ago? Is it the same thingy or a different thingy?
Yeah, I'm guessing it must be a reference to that, but I'm not quite sure how that all goes together.
I'm sure he'll tell us.
But I have figured out that I am not going to get old. I have simply redefined old as always being 5 years more than my current age.
Oh, I did have a birthday last month. This is the 16th anniversary of my 30th. I'm 30, yay!
Yep. Yeah, I was telling people when Sloth Girl had her birthday that she was 29, and not to bother me with inconvenient things like how did she get to be younger than her daughter.
It's just for fun. I'm such a nerd that I think this is fun, but I always keep track of when my birthday comes around, if my age is a prime number or not. I'm like math and stuff, so it's just a thing. There's nothing magical or anything about it. So I'm 32 now, so it's not a prime number, but yeah.
That was one of the things I noticed in my pagan days, that most of the numbers that they referred to as like being powerful, and that usually wound up being prime numbers. 7 and 13 being the ones that came up the most often. So I'm guessing that was kind of like accidental math that they didn't really quite understand why, but just things like if you've got 7 or 13 people in a group and you take a vote, you can at least never have a tie, even if it splits 3 ways.
Yeah. And they could also be like sometimes, like math turns up even if we're not conscious of it. But it's like there are patterns. There's like the fact that we think in powers of 10 and 100, and like we think of 100 as being something special and 50 as being special because of cultural reasons. Like there's nothing actual magical or anything about it. It's just that something in our culture makes us think that's special.
Yep. Hold on a sec.
Yeah. Are we having fun yet, kids?
Psha, bullshit spammer.
Somehow I knew
a
it.
message saying this is from the Department of Social Security and they've suspended my Social Security number. It's obviously a spammer trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to report that one to the FCC.
Wow. They canceled your Social Security number.
That was the claim, and I didn't even, get halfway through the message, just hung up. That's what they started out with.
Because they so do that.
Yep.
Although I wonder if somebody dies, do they recycle your Social Security number?
No, I'm pretty sure they don't.
Like old phone numbers?
No, the Social Security numbers, I don't think they do, but yeah, at some point they're going to have to run out.
Yeah.
Although, there is a whole pattern to them. I don't remember the entire thing.
Yeah.
But like the 2 digits in the middle are actually a code for the state it was issued in.
My grandpa had one of the first Social Security numbers. It was 7.
Yep. And there are odd things like ones that were people who didn't have one until they, got a job. Ones that were the railroad union have their own code regardless of the state. That they just had a specific code for those. So I don't know if there are other unions that also had that kind of weird thing.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Really sucks that people have to scam people.
Yeah.
No, Amiga, nobody's seen my thingy on here. Although I did start with the disclaimer about adult themes, so I suppose I should be able to get away with it, right? No, YouTube wouldn't allow that.
And I'm not a prude. You can make it into that kind of stream if you want. It's your stream.
No, not on YouTube.
Okay.
I'll save that for my FetLife profile.
Save it for your Pornhub profile.
Yeah, I don't have that yet. I suppose I got to set one up on there.
OnlyFans, surely.
Got one from the UK. Now, see, that's different. I've never actually got one from out of the country. Okay, how did your grandpa get multiple ones? That's something I've never heard of. They're usually very careful that everybody only gets one each.
Maybe the person from the UK was Black Sofa calling that person who got from Harmonica Man.
I think they're saying their granddad's social number was 3.
Oh, okay. No. If it was either orange or purple, I would definitely be going to the doctor. Well, of course, it might be orange if you've been masturbating and eating Cheetos.
Ew.
And it actually could be the rhyme if it's stringy.
Gross.
Okay.
It's really long, but it's stringy.
It's
I once escaped prison with my thingy.
It's almost as if you don't want purple to get monetized.
Well, to be monetized, I need to get 1,000 subscribers, and I don't see that ever happening.
Oh. You got more subscribers than me.
Yeah, you
Good
know
one
how
there,
many
Harmonica
people have
Man.
shot past me?
How many?
Oh, I've lost count, but I actually started my channel before Cirrus did. And, you know, how many thousands is he up to now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it just because I sit around and don't put any effort into it, I'm just not getting anywhere.
Yeah, what's up with that? Why isn't it just happening?
I've actually done a lot promoting other people's channels, and you know, they quickly outgrow me.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I think
Yeah, the latest
more...
one is Godless Granny. I mean, you see the way she shot up in just a couple of months. She's got 1,000 subscribers now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's true. You work hard on other people's channels and you do your own.
That's kind of always been the way. It's like, you know, even in school, doing all the theater stuff, I always did the backstage. You know, I'm not really comfortable in the spotlight.
Yeah. You're properly John the Baptist. You know, you must become small so that they can become big.
Yeah. Well, I do want to do more edited videos, and it's like I was trying to get started on that. I got a better microphone, and then my computer didn't want to cooperate with it. And of course, it was a slow computer to begin with, and now it's pretty much dying. So I'm trying to build a new computer. If anybody wants to help, there's a link there to my Amazon wish list. So not a desperate thing. I can manage with what I've got. But if anybody's feeling generous, I'll just throw that link up there. If I can get there, there's YouTube chat.
Well, I hope you take this the right way, Purple, but I actually hope your channel doesn't get too big. I don't think you really want to go mainstream. And right now you're an idea. You're a good idea.
Yeah.
But once the idea becomes the institution, it's time to move on.
Sometimes it's nice with small channels and you have like a small connected community.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I kind of like just being small and helping other people with their ideas. Yeah, like I said, I'm not really comfortable being in the spotlight, so it's like I don't ever want to have really, even thinking like 20,000 subscribers or that, because it's like,
yeah,
you get that big, you can't really respond to people anymore. You can't even, I wouldn't even have time to read all the comments.
yeah.
I mean, it would be
Yeah.
nice if I got a few more comments. But like I say, yeah, it would be nice if I could start doing more edited videos. Although I'm still likely to be all over the place. I'm not likely to settle down to any one subject.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got too many varied interests. I don't focus on any one thing for very long.
I liked that historical one you did, although I can't remember what it was even about, but I remember liking it.
Yeah. So Godless Granny did something with fenced rhino, did she? Bow chicka wow wow chicka wow wow bow chicka.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was good.
Okay, Megan Nuts is now spamming with comment.
It's spam, 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 spam.
Yeah, I think, Doc, you're probably thinking of the one I did on the Reuben James.
I think so.
Yeah, that was the first U.S. warship that was sunk in the Second World War, which was actually sunk October 31st on Halloween night on 1941. So it was a couple of months before the Pearl Harbor attack, but the U.S. was still trying to claim that they were neutral, so they didn't make anything of the incident.
If you're at all interested in, excuse me, the Revolutionary War era, I've been really wanting to dive into that and research that, but I'm, lazy. So like if you ever did any stuff on that, I'd be definitely very interested. Especially to learn more about the English side of that, because of course I've only heard it from the American side. I know very little of the English side.
I actually do have some things along that line that I've thought about. I haven't actually gotten as far as like writing up scripts or anything yet. But mostly I'm kind of fascinated with history of technology. So a lot of it, during a war is when technology is always advanced the fastest. And especially I seem to gravitate toward naval history of all sorts of time periods. The American Revolution was the first instance of a submarine being used in warfare.
Mm-hmm.
That there was actually a submarine, the USS Turtle, which was basically a very large wine barrel that the guy had, worked out, hooked up propellers operated by bicycle pedals, that he actually went down and with a screw mechanism tried to attach a mine to the bottom of one of the British ships. Unfortunately, the screw came out because the wood was kind of rotted, so the bomb floated up to the surface and exploded without doing any damage.
Interesting, though. That was Revolutionary War time.
Yep, that was in 1775.
Fascinating.
I found a link to a picture of it. I sent it in chat.
Oh.
Well, it claimed that it's that one at least. So.
My, that's lovely. I've never actually seen a photograph of it. I've only seen drawings. Okay, so yeah, they've actually, you know, got one or a reproduction of it or something in a museum somewhere.
Yeah.
Groovy.
Huh. Now I'll have to trace down that photo and find out where that came from, what museum that is. I just love museums. If I could afford it, that's how I would want to retire, is just to get a mobile home and just drive all over the continent and see all the museums.
Yeah, museums are fun.
That
would be very cool.
Yep.
We have a Civil War museum several miles outside of the town I live in. I went there when I was a wee laddie, probably in elementary school. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, they have them all over the country. It's just, you never know what you're going to find.
And we have I guess I really can't say the name of it without pretty much doxing myself, but
yeah, giving away the town.
We have an art museum right here in town, and I think it's usually free. You can generally just go there. Well, I think most museums pretty much are, aren't they? You usually can just go there, or you might have to schedule a tour or something maybe, but
well, most of them aren't free anymore, but a lot of them, especially if they get any kind of government funding, usually have to set up, you know, some free days or some means of having them available to the general public.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're fairly close to Minneapolis, right?
I'm about an hour and a half out of Minneapolis now.
Yeah. Isn't that where they have the Guthrie Theater and the Walker Museum?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where we went for when I was in middle school, we went to the Guthrie Theater to see their performance of A Christmas Carol. And it was pretty cool. But I went to the Walker when I was in college for art club. We went there to see an exhibit for Bruce Nauman. Have you ever heard of Bruce Nauman?
No, I don't know that.
He was mostly active in the 60s and 70s, but I recently looked him up on the internet, and he's like still doing art, you know. But he's a very interesting artist. I definitely recommend looking him up. It's hard to really describe exactly what sort of genre / medium you could possibly put him in. He's done stuff with TV monitors, neon tubing, various types of, I suppose you could call it sculpture. There's one where it's just it's basically a chair hanging by a string, and then also hanging from the ceiling is like a triangle made out of I-beams that circled the chair. And he used chairs a lot in his work to symbolize the human form, to symbolize people.
Mm-hmm.
There was one where it's just it almost looks like an erector set, but it's like a carousel. So it's very I don't know, steel girdy looking, and he had molded a bunch of animals, like farm animals, pigs, sheep, stuff like that, out of lead. And they're what hangs around the carousel, and it just spins around, dragging the lead constructs and making a lead circle on the floor. It's really hard to peg this guy down. Another one was just a wall of televisions.
Yeah, when you mentioned the neon tubes, it kind of clicked something. I think I may have seen some of his work at the Walker like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think he had a couple of permanent exhibits there, or permanent pieces there. Like one of his neon projects was the entire wall is all neon letterings and words that spell a bunch of phrases like eat and die, eat and live, sleep and die, sleep and live, shit and die, shit and live, just in sort of random assortments. It was bizarre.
What was it?
What
was the name again?
I just love the guy. Bruce Nauman. I'm straining to remember how to spell his name. It's kind of a weird spelling. It's kind of like Newman, but not quite. It's like N-A-U or something like that. It's a weird spelling. Probably once you type Bruce N, it should probably pop up.
Nauman, N-A-U-M.
I think it's something like N-A-U-M-A-N, something like that. I'm probably spelling it wrong.
I think I might have found him. I put him in chat. That's the person I found. Nauman is the spelling. Like Newman, but yeah. N-A-U-M-M-A-N.
Yeah, I just found his Wikipedia entry.
Yeah, very interesting fellow. My favorite piece he did was actually a small triangular room. It's just 3 walls, really high, and they had a sort of fluorescent light. It was kind of a weird yellowish light, I think. I don't know if it was exactly fluorescent or some special kind of light, but the thing you're supposed to do is stand in the middle of this room, look up at the lights, and spin around in a circle for like, I think it was supposed to be like a solid 5 minutes. It was kind of a long time. And when you step outside the room, seriously, for about 15 minutes, everything looks purple. I swear to God, it works. It was freaking awesome. You step out of this thing, you look around, and like everything's in purple shades. It was crazy, dude. It's like, how do you figure out, how to trick human perception like that?
Yeah.
It's freaking genius, man.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about art, so it's sort of, I don't know a lot of artists. I've never heard of this person, but yeah, it's definitely, it's amazing what they can do.
Yeah, I never heard of him outside of college. It's not a name tossed around like like Picasso or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just found a page that talks about his neon art. And yeah, I've definitely seen some of these before. So I will drop a link in the side chat there for the page I found with his neon art. No, I won't.
Ah, groovy.
Because unfortunately, the side chat only allows 200 characters, and the link is longer than 200 characters.
Ay, caramba.
So sorry, people, I can't share that with everyone. I can only drop it in the StreamYard chat. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of his neon projects. It's a phrase or a sentence that's winding in a spiral, and it says the role of the artist is to reveal mystic truths. That one's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I've never really, been good as far as like traditional art or that. A lot of art I just don't get. Mostly because art's about eliciting an emotional reaction, and it's hard to get any kind of emotional response out of me most of the time. It's just kind of with the autism wiring that I wind up analyzing everything rather than reacting to things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've long thought of art as the language of emotion, like as opposed to speaking or the written word, which is more, just concrete exchange of ideas. I've always thought of art as an alternative language specifically for emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
Okay.
Robert,
Robert was adding this. I'm assuming he's referring to the photograph of the turtle there.
you mentioned some. Purple, you mentioned some autism test at some point, but I didn't get that link that you sent when you mentioned that in the chat of a different stream.
Oh.
If you could send it again.
Let me find that again. I should have saved that somewhere, but.
Yeah, Perp, you did say one time you were on the Asperger's spectrum, right?
Yeah, fairly heavily.
I don't think I am, but could be interesting to check to do it anyway.
Well, it is a spectrum. It is very much a matter of degrees.
Yeah, it feels like it's sort of like with ADHD, that it's sort of that kind of thing where everybody has a little, it's like normal behavior, it's like ordinary behavior, but turned up to 11. I didn't mean to say normal, sorry. Yeah,
well,
but
the technical term
amplified.
The technical term, as they refer to it, as being neurotypical or atypical.
Yeah, neuroatypical. Yeah, thanks. But it's amplified. The usual behavior, but amplified. Like with ADHD, that everyone is a bit get distracted by stuff, but it becomes worse if you have ADHD, which I do.
Yeah, and well, they are often comorbid. They often wind up going together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm easily distracted and find it difficult to focus myself. And I've kind of wondered about it from time to time if I'm on the spectrum as well. I'm quite convinced I have attention deficit disorder, not the hyperactive kind, just the attentive dominant kind. But it could be, for all I know, it could be Asperger's, or I have both. but I don't know. I don't think I'm on the spectrum, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah, well, for me, when I was growing up, nobody knew anything about it. So
Yeah,
it wasn't diagnosed until I was in my 40s.
yeah, and I've never been diagnosed officially with anything, but I have always had trouble reading. I just have trouble like staying on the reading. My mind just wanders too much. I can usually barely make it through a sentence before my mind goes, and here's this other thing, blah 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 blah, and here's another thing.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
here I found it.
Which I always thought was ADD, but who knows?
But like I said, they tend to go together.
Yeah.
So they had earlier on like diagnosed me as having some ADD or ADHD, but then as they went into it more, it's like, no, that didn't quite fit. Okay, there's the link to the Aspie quiz that I originally took, but
Oh, cool.
and that's I had run across
Thanks.
this online like 1990 something, and that was really what got me started, because I took that and then I went and showed the results to like everyone I had known more than 2 years. And for me, the universal response was, well, that explains a lot. So then I took the results from that to my therapist, and he went through all of his diagnostic manuals and everything, and is like, oh yeah, somebody should have figured that out a long time ago.
Yeah.
So definitely don't try to diagnose yourself just with an online quiz, but it's a good place to start if you can then take it to a professional therapist and ask them what they think of the results.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I grew up in the 80s, and at least in my area, I never heard of attention deficit until like I was at least in college. Like just wasn't a catchphrase going around where I lived at the time. So it seemed to become popular in the 90s.
Yeah, that's well, I was going through school in the 1970s, so it's like at that point they didn't even figure out that I had dyslexia until I was in my 3rd year of high school. There just wasn't any kind of screening for any of that. They had just written me off as being a classic underachiever, and it's like I was always aware that something was different about the way I was processing things, but no one had any kind of words for it.
Yeah, and I remember in elementary school, I can't quite remember what grade, 3rd or 4th grade maybe, I actually did get pushed back to the previous grade just in reading. I went to a lower grades class for a while for reading. And I mean, I can read fine, and I do. I don't know if I want to say a lot of reading, but regular reading all the time. I read articles, using my phone here, off the internet and stuff from time to time. But yeah, like I said, it's just difficult for me to focus on like a novel.
Yeah. Well, and what Harmonica's man said here about the meds taking your creativity, I have had that. I mean, they tried me on dozens of different medications before they even figured out a good diagnosis. And that was one of the things that making my brain function more normally definitely did take away my creativity and especially my ability to write fiction. Creativity is just something about your brain running a little differently from the norm. So that's kind of why I gave up on any kind of thing to, treat it or that. It seems I was always giving up too much, so it wasn't really worth it.
Yeah. Losing more than you're gaining.
Well, I really felt it was like, really changing my personality in ways that I didn't like.
Yeah, what was it? Some kind of neural inhibitor or something, or?
Well, I am on gabapentin now, which is itself a neural inhibitor, but that's to suppress the tics. I also have Tourette's syndrome.
Yeah.
And I need the gabapentin because that helps suppress the muscular tics, basically, so my limbs are not randomly flying away.
I'm sure that's hopeful.
Well, I would have things like just my arm would suddenly jerk and I'd be knocking things off the table. So, it's like, yeah, that one I can see the need for, but the other things were just making me feel weird. And I also have a history of having the strange side effects that it's like they'd put me on something and after a few weeks I'd be reporting side effects and they'd have to go back and read the literature and they'd find some little footnote that said this occurred in less than 3% of the study group.
So you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
These tests that you sent, one of the questions is, do you have an alternative view of what is attractive in the opposite sex? Like, I'm thinking of, for example, if I'm attracted to a woman and that woman has a penis, for example, I would find that equally attractive as if she has a vagina. That's probably an alternative view compared to most people, but it's not. Yeah, it is not related to this.
Well, not directly, but basically what the quiz is looking for is just, anything you have that's outside of the considered the norm for the mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel I think you could say yes on that it's not the mainstream, but it's not what I'm looking for. So kind of want to say no, even if the answer is yes.
Well, and it was one of the problems I had with the quiz is that it does actually seem to assume that you are straight, which I never have been.
Yeah. What are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, pansexual is the closest thing I can, come up with that most people understand.
Okay.
But yeah, if I'm attracted to someone, I actually consider the gender to be more of a secondary characteristic, that it's not much more important than their hair color.
Yeah.
And even that, that's really simplifying it because it's like what I find attractive in men and what I find attractive in women is very different. But my fiance actually described it as I have kind of a chameleon sexuality, that when I'm comfortable with someone, my own sexuality is very fluid and it tends to kind of, to some degree adjust to fit the other person. With her, I was much more feminine. With other people, I've been more masculine.
Yeah. I'm also pansexual. I like both genders. Like at the moment, I'm drawn more to women than to men, but it kind of flows back and forth. But it's always both. But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much gender fluid, you know, and to the point that mine can actually switch several times in a single day.
Okay. Yeah, gender can be weird.
Yeah, I could never be monogamous just because whoever I'm with, I'm always going to have some urges for other genders. And,
Yeah.
you know, and part of why I had identified originally as bisexual, you know, like back in the 80s, but, you know, part of pansexual for me is also just acknowledging that there are more than two genders, and I don't limit it to being an either or, that there are people I've known who have, you know, definitely been in gray areas in between there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more I look into it, it seems like monogamy is kind of a learned behavior. Because
Yeah.
it's virtually unheard of in the animal kingdom. And humans are historically not very good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, in the animals, the monogamy seems to always be temporary. Like you're monogamous for a while, and then you, go off to others. But yeah, I would probably feel that, like, I think I'm monogamous in the sense that I'm not poly. I don't think I have a need to be in a relationship with more than one person at a time, but I do have sexual, like, I would want to be in I'm single right now, but I would want to be in a relationship where both me and the other person are allowed to have sex with other people within whatever rules we set up for the relationship.
Sorry, also in the middle of trying to keep things up here.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. I definitely consider myself to be monogamous, but I think I've pretty much, as long as I've ever actually thought about it, I've considered it to be pretty much just part of my upbringing. You know, pretty much just a cultural norm I was indoctrinated with, and it stuck. And
Yeah,
you know, that's just kind of where my feelings take me. So, right or wrong, it's there, I guess.
yeah. I'm not sure if monogamy is strictly a learned behavior. You know, for some people, it does seem very natural.
Yeah, and it seems to correlate strongly with, you know, like traditions like marriage and things like that, which were more I don't, not necessarily always monetary arrangements, but
Well,
political and monetary and social.
yeah, marriage was mostly so you
Arrangements.
could keep track of who the father
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, and the whole concept of actually being in love with the person you're married to is you know, far more recent than people imagine. So
Yeah.
Yeah, marriages had generally been arranged by the families. That being able to pick your own partner is a pretty recent concept.
yep. So I mean, it just seems to be monogamy. Just seems to be a cultural norm.
Yeah.
or a cultural moray or whatever it falls under.
Yeah, well, and even, even in what they consider the traditional biblical marriage, the part they're overlooking is it usually talks about the man having consorts.
Yeah,
So it
lots
was
of
only
people in the
monogamous for the
Bible.
woman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of people in the Bible have lots of wives. And this, with the test, this was a weirdly specific question. Do you instinctively become frightened by the sound of a motorbike? Like, that was very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the Bible, like, they have many different kinds. Like, yeah, like you said, consorts and stuff.
Yeah, and that seems really backward because it's like, the species really needs more females than males. One male can seed, multiple, spawn at once. Yet our culture seems to always venerate the male, and it's always multiple women for every single male, and it seems completely backward. It should be the females that have multiple male partners.
Well,
Yeah, if we want to base our society on biology purely, sure, but let's not do that.
well, the thing is, our society protects the stupid.
Yeah.
What happens with most mammals is the males and females are born in about even numbers, but a good percentage of the males wipe themselves out in adolescence fighting with each other and trying to impress the females, so a lot of them never survived breeding age.
Yeah.
And that's why in so many mammals you have the herd thing, that you have like one male for 10 females.
Mhm.
Because the
Yeah.
females tend to live in groups and the males tend to live solitary lives, and a lot of the males get picked off that way.
Yep, and I just watched a show yesterday on Netflix called Explained. It's got 2 seasons, multiple episodes, but it's pretty much a sort of informative documentary on various topics, all sorts of different things, but like really modern day things. And one was on monogamy, and there's like this one, it might have been I think it was a South American tribe or something. Maybe it was an African tribe. But they pretty much the tribe raises the kids, like they have mixed unions all the time. They don't practice monogamy at all, and I guess some scientists researched them and asked them, what happens when you can't figure out who the father is, and they're like, it doesn't matter. Every child is treated, is cared for equally. Nobody cares specifically whose kid it is. Your parent is pretty much the nearest adult member of the tribe to you, and they just treat you like every other, every member of the tribe treats kids about the same. So I thought that was very fascinating.
Yeah, that also, was common with the indigenous Americans, that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the saying, it takes a village to raise a child, comes from.
Yeah.
They were not really so concerned about that, you know, all of the children were raised in a group by the entire village.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I actually think that's kind of something, you know, maybe America and other monogamous sort of cultures, you know, needs to consider getting into, like, you know, like everybody caring for every kid like they're their own. There's so much I've even had friends that had girlfriends at the time with a kid from somebody else, and they were, you know, like they were living with the person, so they were kind of raising somebody else's kid, and I've heard them say things like, I want to have my own kid and stuff like that. Like there's something so special about having your own kid, and it's like that seems like a strange alien or alien concept to me. You know, it's like, why can't we just treat every kid as if they're our own? Why can't we give the same respect and deference? I mean, where I grew up, my family was hated, and thus I was hated too. I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and I was just born into people's loathing and spite, and it sucks, and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because you know, I don't like a person, so I'm going to hate all of their kids automatically too. And
I
it's
had
just
something like that growing up too, because I was the youngest of 9. You know, and it wasn't really so much being hated, but I basically never had my own identity. I was always, you know, somebody's son or somebody's brother. So I was always, you know, prejudged by someone else before they met me.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's the plight of the youngest, is you're just constantly judged by your older siblings.
Yeah, I'm the youngest. I'm also the youngest, so yeah. But we're 3 siblings, so it's a more usual number than 9 or whatever you said. There again, another question. Do you have unusual sexual preferences? Yes, but why is that relevant?
Well, again, they're just looking for ways that your brain might be wired a bit differently than what they consider the mainstream or norm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hadn't really, you know, thought about it as far as it going with the monogamy. But yeah, my attitudes with kids too. I've helped raise 9 kids. None of them had my DNA.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, yeah, you know, they were still my kids. I just, you know, I felt what was important about me are things that I could teach them. It didn't really matter.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
I mean,
actually considering all the anomalies, shall I say, about my body, passing down my DNA was not necessarily the best idea.
yeah, and it's exactly why I don't want to have kids of my own. My DNA is fucked up, man. My DNA pollutes the gene pool, man. You know, if I were to ever have a kid, I'd prefer to adopt than have my own. I'd prefer to give somebody already here a home. We're already overpopulated. We don't need to make any more kids than the average, you know. So the world's not missing out on my DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want kids, so. Yeah.
Well, at this age, I'm glad that I'm done with raising kids, but certainly was a lot of experiences there.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty much too old to do it now myself. I'm pretty sure, but if I were ever in the position to raise kids, I would love to have done it, especially when I was younger.
Yeah, the youngest of my wards is in college now, so I guess I did all right with them.
Cool.
Shoot.
I have a little nephew that's 9 months old, so yeah, I'm enjoying time with him there, but it's nice to like have those moments and then I can go and do my things.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's good when you can send them home at night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my siblings had kids, and they've all had kids, so I would say there's plenty of that going around. I don't need to contribute to that.
Yeah, I've got a lot of nieces and nephews, and what would it be, great cousins or third cousins, something like that? The children of my cousins and such.
Yeah. First cousin once removed, or some crazy shit like that. I don't know how all that stuff goes. Because I think if you have a cousin that's like a straight cousin, that would be your aunt or uncle's child, right? That's a first cousin, right?
Right.
And then their kid would be your first cousin once removed. I think that's how that goes. I could totally be wrong on that.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. Yeah, that
I think so too.
for a generation step, it's the once removed or twice removed. Yeah, and actually, yeah, I've got a couple now on the twice removed level that they're actually my cousin's grandchildren. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
I do well with small children, teenagers and adults, not so much.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, we're going over so many different subjects, and with people in the side chat and that, I'm having trouble keeping up with everything here, but well, I'm trying to put notes in the descriptions too as we're changing subjects.
Yeah, well, welcome to my brain.
Yeah, well, and that's the way my brain normally works too, jumping around on all sorts of things. And now in the side chat here with Robert X and Christy Santiago, that we're have decided we need to do a history trivia show. So yeah, if people have some history trivia questions, get them together and like email one of us or something.
I finished the test now. If you want to know the score, it says your neurodiverse ASPE score is 29 out of 200. Your neurotypical non-autistic score is 175 out of 200. You are very likely neurotypical. I know I'm not neurotypical as I have ADHD, but yeah.
Yeah, well, the ADHD is a separate category from it, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's basically the score I was expecting. But it was fun to do it anyway. And it does feel like there's more and more people who get diagnosed with stuff, and it seems like we're better at catching these things and noticing them and helping people. And it's not perfect, but we're getting better at it, I think.
Well, and I think in our little community, there is an abnormally high amount of people that are on the autistic spectrum.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And I'm not sure how that, which one's the cause and which one's the effect, but I think it's just something about, when you realize something is different about your brain, you start examining a lot of things that most people accept and never think of, like your sexuality and religion.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, once you start questioning one thing like that, then you start looking at kind of all the aspects of your life, and it's like, yeah, this is what society expects, but is that what I really want?
Yeah.
That's all part of being an individual.
Yeah.
And with all the indoctrination, people try to make it impossible to be an individual.
Yeah. I feel like very often when people say normal, that often is very boring. Like people who are normal, who are described as just normal, are usually boring. Like there's nothing special about them.
I would never use normal to refer to anyone I consider a friend.
Yeah. Same for me.
Yeah,
it's almost a slur to some of us.
Yeah, society and especially the public school system tries to breed conformity. They want everyone to behave in a very predictable fashion. They don't like the idea of, people who are going to deviate too far from the norm, because then they can't predict how they're going to act.
Yeah. Of course, there's some certain norms that are positive, like not being violent, for example. But that's mostly when we talk about norms, it's things that are necessary. Like, my mom, for example, has often tried to get me to watch certain TV shows because you're supposed to, or whatever, and like she can watch something because that's what people watch, because that's the popular thing. And like I don't do that. Like, one of my favorite shows is, for example, Game of Thrones, and that is of course one of the most popular TV shows in recent history. But that because I like it. I like other stuff that isn't necessarily very popular, and I do things that I think if I reveal that I did those things, people would probably think that that's a little odd. Maybe not like wrong or anything, or strange, but that's unusual.
Yeah, well, that's the pop culture and the popular TV shows generally are not things I follow, and a lot of times, I feel kind of lost in conversations because I'm not into those things, but it's just not something I'm going to spend my time with.
Yeah,
I'm that way about sports.
Yeah, professional sports I have no interest in at all.
Same here.
Yep, hate them. It's boring, and golf is the most boring sport of all. Watching golf is like watching flies fuck.
Yeah.
Well, if you're watching flies fuck, you might be observing interesting behavior. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, watching flies fuck is far more interesting than sports.
Yeah.
Observing animal behavior of all kinds is way more preferable.
Dragonflies are fun for that. Dragonflies are cross-dressing hookers.
Okay.
They've been known,
Exactly.
male dragonflies have been known to perch on a branch and tuck their genitals away to attract another male, hoping it will offer them an insect that it caught. And if another male gives them an insect, it will let them mount them while they're eating it.
Well, there you go.
You know, so much about this homosexuality being unnatural. It's like, yeah, it's been observed in at least 500 other species by now.
Well, that instance is simultaneously homosexuality and prostitution.
Yeah.
Prostitution is more natural than monogamy.
So it is basically a trap in the insult kind of way,
Yeah.
but as an evolutionary advantage.
Yeah. And cuttlefish also have been known to be cross-dressers.
Yeah.
And they take it to a fine art. They have the camouflage thing that they can actually change the color of their skin with chromatophores, you know,
Yeah.
colored
But
skin
it's also
cells.
communication, yeah.
And they have observed that, like, when there's been a male courting a female, that sometimes a smaller male will come in between them and actually split its body. So the half facing the female, he appears as a male, and the half facing the male, he appears as a female.
Okay.
So, you know, since the other male doesn't see him as a male, it doesn't chase him away, and it gives him an opportunity to get closer to the female. So basically, he's dressing in drag to be able to move in on the guy's mate. Yeah, it's animal behavior is just fascinating, and that's my fiance and I used to love to watch nature documentaries, and we would, you know, be like pausing it and, you know, like rewind it to see a bit, and then, you know, discussing part of it, and yeah, it would take us 3 to 4 hours on average to watch an hour documentary.
That's so cute.
Well, you got your money's worth.
Yep. Well, you know, and that's why it was great to have the DVR on the TV so that we could always pause it and back it up. Yeah, it's like, did you see that? And let's check that out again. Oh, hold on, phone's ringing again.
Oh dear. So, Microraptor, if I may ask, whereabouts are you from?
Sweden.
Sweden, cool.
Yeah. Where are you from?
America. I'm actually not too far from Purple. I'm maybe a couple or three, maybe about 3 hours south of Purple here. So.
Okay. I don't know
we're in the American Midwest. I'm in Iowa. He's in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know if you know roughly where Iowa is. Most Americans don't. Most Iowans don't.
Yeah, I know roughly where it is. Yeah.
It's called the flyover state. We had an inland hurricane here a couple months ago, like a rare meteorological occurrence, and it devastated a large part of our southwest, I think, south and southwest, and it wasn't even mentioned in the news. Everything was about the pandemic and about Trump and everything. It didn't even get mentioned, but it's like it's called a derecho, I think, but it's a sort of inland hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
It's bizarre. I've never heard of that happening anywhere, much less my state.
Yeah, I never heard of that either. It's usually you hear it on the coast.
Yeah, alias fake names in Minnesota here too.
Groovy.
I'm sorry, I was trying to answer the phone thereafter, and I didn't hear where you said you're from.
Sweden.
Okay, Sweden. Yeah, I could tell it was a Scandinavian accent of some kind. I just not quite the ear to differentiate them yet.
Okay.
My mother's Finnish, so I grew up with my grandmother and them speaking Finnish around the house.
Yeah. Finland used to be Swedish until about 200 years ago, and I've been so they talk. Some people talk Swedish in Finland, so you knew that, people, but yeah.
Yeah, Finland's only been an independent country for a little over 100 years now.
Yeah.
And the particular town that my great-grandparents came from was either Finland, Sweden, or Russia, depending on which decade you're talking about, because the border tended to move around.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Swedish, and then Russia took it, and then they became independent.
Yeah.
It was Swedish for a very long time.
So over there in Sweden, what do they call Swedish meatballs?
Yes, meatballs.
So what did they think of IKEA in Sweden?
They have good furniture. Like, we like IKEA.
Yeah. I've put together some of their stuff and it generally seems good, but it's the butt of a lot of jokes here.
Yeah, it is. I prefer like more unique stuff, like more designer or whatever. But if you just want something that isn't super expensive or anything, it's good for what it costs.
Yeah, well, I generally design and build my own furniture, although I have actually taken some inspirations from some of their stuff.
Yeah, cool.
Well, I made my living as doing home repairs for 35 years. So, I've got the tools and the general woodworking knowledge, and that's like when I moved, I didn't really worry about moving furniture. Most of the stuff I had, I just knocked down to individual boards, and I brought a lot of materials with me and just kind of recycled the pieces to fit the new space. Yeah, that's another thing I've been meaning to do a video of at some point, and just kind of show people the new space, because so many people helped me with my move. I was meaning to kind of show off the new apartment and, show them the whole shelving thing I built that takes up the biggest wall in my living room.
Yeah.
I took some pictures of it in the stages while I was building it, so was going to kind of do a little slideshow, but things keep happening and I never get to finishing any videos. And, with the COVID and the lockdown, I was kind of worried because the lockdown started just after I moved and I never had a chance to build a customer base here. But then at the same time, that's wound up causing my little online side hustle to explode in ways I never imagined. So that's kept me pretty busy and at least kept some money coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, COVID has made everything weird, you could say.
Oh, hey, Brain Bug.
Oh, hey, Brainbug.
Yeah, it's been difficult and adjusting to it. And
Yeah.
here, well, and when it started here, I was trying to tell people from the beginning, but nobody got it, that, it wasn't just going to be the lockdown for a couple of weeks and then everything was going to go back to normal. And I was trying to tell people from the start, no, we've got to plan on it being this way for at least a year until they develop a vaccine for the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people didn't want to think about that.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, at this point, yeah, maybe by next spring they might have a virus ready. That's about the most optimistic.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of a bummer because most of the stuff that I was hoping to do moving here, I was moving out of a tiny little backwater town and getting back to a decent sized city, and bunch of groups and activities I wanted to do, and it's like, yeah, I'm not doing any group activities for a while here.
Please tell that to the guests at my hotel.
Yeah, I know. I worry about you because you got, people from all different states coming through, so you've got no idea what they might have been exposed to.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and there's lots of them that don't bother with the masks.
Yep.
We actually our company actually as of the first of this month enacted stricter rules where all the employees are to wear masks, and the guests are supposed to as well, but we really can't enforce it. They did not empower us to remove them from the premises if they don't comply or anything like that. So the best we can do is say it's our policy to wear masks.
Well, in Minnesota, we've got a mask mandate from the governor for the entire state that if you're, indoors in any public space, you're supposed to wear a mask. And it's supposed to carry a $250 fine, but nobody's enforcing it. So it's like when I go to the stores, about a third of the people aren't wearing them.
Oh yeah, and I thought things. Yeah, our state hasn't done the statewide mandate for masks either, and that's why we can't really do anything about it. It's pretty much just our company that's doing it.
Well, that's what I mean. Here we have the statewide mandate, but nobody's making any attempt to enforce it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't really blame the store employees, who are in there getting minimum wage. They're not really paid enough to deal with that shit, especially if people, start getting all loud and violent about it.
Yeah. Which is so crazy. But yeah, and I thought more places were starting to, beef up their regulations on it. But then next thing I know, I go over to Walmart and they've removed all of the social distancing stickers. They used to have a person standing outside making sure you went in with a mask. They don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
They're not enforcing it at all. It seems like the employees are still wearing masks, with varying success. There's plenty of nose danglers and
yep.
The whole thing. But I guess it does seem like most of the employees are wearing masks, so they think they're complying with their company's regulations. But it was just like all of a sudden Walmart said, nope, customers can do whatever they want. Fuck it.
Yep. And we've got GeoSam with us.
Hi, Sam.
Thanks,
I have to thank Sam. He went on my Amazon wish list and he's bought me the case for my new computer, which after a bit of difficulty is supposed to be delivered tomorrow.
Groovy. Sorry about the difficulty, though.
Yeah, it's just, it wound up getting sent to the wrong address at first. So
Well,
I think we got all straightened out now. Yeah, but what you were saying about the mass and about Walmart, and that's where I really notice it. That, like you say, it's the same thing here. They had the one-way aisles and the things to stand 6 feet apart at the registers, and it's like all that stuff is gone now.
Yep.
So they're kind of, they seem to still be making sure that the employees wear masks, but that's about as far as it goes.
Yep.
Most of the stores around here still have somebody at the door with a counter, because I think that was part of the state mandate that it, like limits how many people they can have in the building at one time. So they've got to count people going in and out.
I can understand if some businesses have a bit of a hard time saying either you wear a mask or you're out. Like, in a hotel, for example, like where else are they going to sleep? I don't know. There might be ways to fix that, to get past that. But yeah, I can understand if it's a little harder for some places than others.
Yeah. Well, and just people in the U.S. have been too casual about it.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I say, they were expecting it to just be over in a couple of weeks, so nobody's having the patience for, keeping it up. And it's like, okay, so they did it for maybe a month and then they relaxed, and of course, then we wind up having new outbreaks.
Yeah.
And people don't get that if we could be serious about it and everybody could do everything they're supposed to for maybe 2 months, then we could probably get it under control.
Yeah. It didn't have to be this way for the US.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just really crazy.
Yeah. Florida's one of the worst states that I've talked to a couple of people who live down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's scary down there that they've been in a hurry to reopen everything.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah, well, and here they're trying to reopen things. They've got bars and restaurants open again. Like, no, I'm not going to be eating out until there's a vaccine.
Yeah, and our pool at the hotel has been open for a while, and it's like, and I have to pick up people's freaking towels.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Hey, Stool.
Hey, Stool. That sounds gross even without a pandemic.
Yeah, if you're picking up other people's dirty laundry, there's always, you never know what kind of virus or vaccine could be in there, or virus or bacteria. For some reason, I'm having trouble with that word today, so I keep getting my words screwed up. But that, for me, that's kind of, part of my dyslexia, that I keep winding up getting the words out of order and things.
Yeah, well, I saw that the GeoSam was talking, but you used a word wrong before, and I also noticed that, but I knew what you meant, so I just ignored it.
Yeah, if the conversation keeps flowing, I figure people got it, and I'm not gonna, try to stop things to correct it. Then, if people seem confused, then I'll correct it.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been going about 2 hours, and I do have other
Yeah.
stuff I gotta do this afternoon, so maybe we should wrap this up here.
Yeah, sure. It's been fun though.
Yeah, well, thanks, and you're
Yeah.
welcome back anytime. And I'm doing this, every Wednesday at noon and every Thursday at midnight Central Time.
Yeah.
So it's 2 p.m. my local time here, so whatever that
Okay.
is relative to you.
Okay.
I'm not sure what time zone you're in there.
Central European something, CEST. Central European Standard Time. I think that is.
Okay, yeah, and
It's
as I
just
was saying
past-
at the beginning of the broadcast, that October 31st, we wind up, well, actually November 1st, we wind up setting our clocks back. So then everything's going to be moved back an hour for me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, right now it's just past 9 p.m. Yeah. So,
Okay, so you're 7 hours ahead of me then.
yeah, that sounds like it could be right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know it's 6 hours for most of the people in the UK.
Yeah, and the UK are 1 hour behind me, so yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming. We had a
Yeah,
good group in the
thanks.
side chat there too. A lot of interesting stuff going on there that, like I say, it was kind of hard for me to keep up with everything at times. But
Yeah, well,
I've
you did good.
tried to get in the habit of updating the description as we go, so I get the topics we cover.
Mhm.
Okay, well, we
Okay.
will see you all. Well then, tomorrow night.
Mhm.
Bye, everyone.